He turns the deadbolt with his mother's old key, the brass warm from the Texas sun. The bungalow breathes dust, spice, lemon oil. He sets the paint tray on the porch boards that creak like they are greeting him by name. The porch light is off even though it is noon, but the little glass globe catches his face and throws it back, a faint halo on peeling white. He lifts a brush. It smells like turpentine and memory. Then the voice cuts across the hedges, sharp, commanding, suspicion disguised as concern. "Excuse me, contractor, I need to know who sent you." He turns. Patricia stands at the edge of the walkway, folded arms, the set of a person used to being obeyed. Behind her, the gated enclave's brick entrance watches like a fortress. "I live here," he says, and keeps his tone even. "Jamal Rivers." She does not step closer. She steps wider, staking the easement like a flag. Phone up. Camera on. The way her eyes flick to his hands first, then to his skin, then back to the phone tells him everything. "Prove it," she says. He points to the deed in his folio, to the bright orange work permit taped inside the front window. He lifts the key ring, his mother's sunflower key fob wobbling like a tiny sun. Patricia does not look. She is already posting to the neighborhood app, typing the word suspicious like a spark near dry brush. He feels the block turning its attention toward him. Curtains nudge. A dog stops barking mid-note. Somewhere a notification chime repeats like a heartbeat speeding up. He breathes, slow, steady. He lifts his brush again because he refuses to let the day be stolen. Sirens whisper on the nearest boulevard, not loud, nearing. He sets the brush down. Neighbors arrange themselves at the curb the way people form around a busker, half curious, half ready to pretend they saw nothing. The sun sits high and punishing, pulling sweat down his spine beneath his shirt. Patricia's posture says boardroom, her voice says policy, her words say safety as if safety were her private property. "I just need to make sure you belong," she repeats, like a doorbell stuck jammed. "It's for everyone's peace of mind." He nods to the window. "Permit's right there." She gives it a glance so brief it is nothing. A man in golf shoes murmurs to his wife. A jogger slows without removing earbuds, as if the scene had a volume control she can nudge with her thumb. The smell of hot asphalt and cut grass turns sour with eyes. A police cruiser rolls in slow, the way a shark is supposed to move before it bites. Two officers step out. The body cameras catch everything, the way Jamal's shoulders settle lower, the sigh he does not let out all at once, the way Patricia plants herself beside the mailbox, queen of 3 square feet of shade. Afternoon, the older officer says. We got a call. Jamal's voice stays even. He has trained men who shout for a living to lower their volume the way one lowers a gun. He knows patience like a second language. He states his name, his mother's, the parcel number, the county stamp on the permit that he explains is visible from the sidewalk. He describes the sunflower key as if describing a childhood friend. The officer nods, jotting in a notebook. The other scans the faces collecting around the curb. Someone mutters, "Just do what she asks." Another, "If he belongs here, why all the fuss?" Patricia's smile is tight as a zip tie. See, this could have been simple. He watches a boy on a scooter pause by the hydrangeas and make his eyes big, unsure who's right. Jamal feels the humiliation rise like heat off the pavement, then presses it down with a steady breath. He will not hand anyone the performance they seem to want. The younger officer points to the folio in Jamal's hand. "May I see that?" Jamal opens it. Patricia circles closer, small steps, smelling faintly of expensive sunscreen and absolute certainty. She reaches without asking. He closes the folio before her fingers land. He loosens the knot of anger by touching 3 objects one by one. The sunflower key fob that used to jingle in his mother's purse. The leather folio with a subtle embossed seal. And the slim silver lapel pin he almost forgot to wear. The pin is a quiet circle, nothing flashy, the emblem of the statewide mediator registry. It gleams when the sun catches it, but today no one is looking for light. His phone buzzes in his pocket. He lets it buzz. Patricia's voice weaves through the air, narrating for her audience as if she is the host of a show that never misses an episode. "We have to be vigilant. Contractors come through here trying doors. We had a scare last month. People pretend things. We cannot be too careful." The older officer flips through the deed. It shows the date of transfer, the county stamp, the signature that made his chest ache when he signed it. The younger officer follows Jamal's finger to the permit number. They ask for identification. He offers it. His phone buzzes again. A message banner flashes before the screen goes dark. Chair Nguyen confirmed for Tuesday. He tucks it away. Patricia doesn't notice the embossed seal on the folio that marks him as more than just a homeowner. She doesn't notice the small green tab marking a section labeled Community De-escalation. Notes he wrote in hotel ballrooms and stale conference centers across the Southwest, training homeowners association boards to not become this. She does not know she is reciting lines he has heard 100 times. lines that unwind communities thread by thread until they fall apart. He feels the press of the lapel pin against his skin, cool, calming, reminding him of rooms where people locked horns and then, because someone stayed steady, unlocked them. He will not declare any of that here. Earned power does not need to be shouted in a driveway. Not yet. The older officer returns his documents and clears his throat. We'll verify the permit with the county. Standard. Patricia lifts her chin as if she won something. A car door slams across the street, then a second. More spectators arriving. His phone buzzes a third time. A voicemail transcription flickers. City Council office. Callback requested. He keeps his hands visible. He keeps his breathing even. He lets the porch light's glass globe catch the sun again and throw it back like a quiet warning flare. The officer steps toward the cruiser. Patricia steps closer to the threshold of the porch. "Do not," Jamal says softly. She freezes, surprised by the word more than the tone. He asks the officers if they would mind narrating their verification steps out loud since the neighborhood is listening. It is not a challenge. It is a lifeline for the kid on the scooter, for the couple with the dog, for the jogger who finally took out one earbud. "First," the older officer says into the air, "we check identification against the deed. They match." A ripple moves through the gathered faces like wind through leaves. The younger officer calls dispatch and clearly states the permit number. He repeats the parcel identifier. He asks for the name associated. There is a clean competence to his voice. Jamal nods and thanks him by name, because names are de-escalation tools too. Patricia bristles at the politeness, as if courtesy is a trick. "We deal with contractors all the time," she says. "Some of them forge things. We have to stay ahead." Jamal keeps his gaze on the permit. "We also have to be precise," he replies. "That's how we keep trust from being collateral damage." The younger officer receives the callback on speaker. The permit is valid. The name is correct. The address is this one. "Thank you," Jamal says. He does not look at Patricia when he says it. He looks at the small cluster of faces that were waiting for a cue. He offers them a path. "If you ever need to verify, county permits are public. Call to confirm before you assume. Document. Then if needed, report." The phrase verify, document, report lands like a stone placed gently where a foundation will go. Someone nods slowly, as if the words fit old grooves in their mind. Patricia's lips press thinner. "So I was right to be cautious." "You were right to care about this neighborhood," he replies, and his voice is calm enough to quiet a dog. But we do not have to choose between care and respect. A moment of silence opens like shade after glare. The older officer says there is no further issue and thanks everyone for their cooperation. Jamal thanks them back. Patricia does not apologize, she redirects. "Perhaps we should schedule a forum," she says to the heir at large as if she invented the thought. "People need education." Jamal's mouth almost curves, almost. "I would come," he says. "Happily." The boy on the scooter finally pushes off. The wheel clicks over a crack in the pavement that looks too much like a line drawn between neighbors. Jamal watches the boy coast and breathes, but the breath is not yet full. By evening, the neighborhood app hums like a beehive someone kicked. Screenshots of his porch appear next to captions that twist facts into static. Words like vigilant and suspicious tangle in threads that knot his stomach. He watches Patricia pin the post to the top of the feed with a note about learning moments. The comments run a little wild before a moderator slows them to a jog. He sends a message to the Homeowners Association board, offering to lead a conversation on verification steps and bias that does not sound like a seminar title. He thinks of the lapel pin sitting on his dresser now, the leather folio next to it, the sunflower key between them like a bridge. The board chair replies with a terse line about keeping it neutral. They suggest Patricia co-host. He says yes, because refusing would be a story too, and the wrong one. The next morning, a yard sign appears 2 doors down, "Neighborhood Watch Meeting." An arrow points like an accusation. Jamal is tagged in yet another post asking him to bring documentation to the forum since people are still unclear. He swallows the metallic taste in his mouth. He prepares anyway. He prints a simple one-page checklist. Verify, document, report. He adds brief explanations beneath each word, easy enough for a child to memorize. He writes a separate note about how assumptions create invisible taxes, higher insurance claims, decreased block cohesion, buyers who feel unwelcome and go elsewhere. He prints figures that he knows will land because he has watched them land before. The trap is not just the forum. It is the posture of the room that awaits, chairs angled like they are bracing, eyes rehearsed for outrage. He knows the beats. He has choreographed the exits before, guiding angry energy toward exits that lead somewhere better. He places the sunflower key in his pocket for luck and slides the lapel pin back onto his collar. He slips the leather folio under his arm. Across the street, Patricia passes him on the sidewalk without a word, her focus on a clipboard, her certainty gathered like a skirt held high over puddles. He feels the old humiliation lick flame as she turns away. He lets it burn down to ash. Then he inhales, counts to 4, and chooses how the fire will be used. At the community center door, he hears a low murmur that tightens into a tension. He steps inside. The microphone crackles. The body cameras, invited by policy, are live once more. The folding chairs smell faintly of dust and coffee. The room holds an expectant hush like a hallway outside a delivery room. Patricia opens with a statement about vigilance, about keeping standards high, about pride in their gated enclave and its spillover into the adjacent blocks. She speaks like a person reading scripture she wrote. Jamal listens until she turns and extends a palm, performative welcome, and then he steps forward. He does not stand behind the lectern. He stands close to the front row where a woman with paint-splattered jeans sits with her arms crossed but not locked. "My name is Jamal Rivers," he begins, voice softened by the microphone's warm hum. "I grew up 2 streets over. My mother's porch held me when I skinned my knees and when I said goodbye to her. I came home to repair what time and storms took." He pauses, lets the breathing in the room sink to his. "I train homeowners association boards across the Southwest in conflict de-escalation and bias interruption. I have spent years helping communities avoid exactly what happened on that curb." Heads lift, eyes narrow, posture shift. The lapel pin catches a fluorescent light and briefly flares like a small star. He does not hold it up. He does not need to. He tells them the 3 words again: verify, document, report. Verification starts with what is visible and public: permits, parcel numbers, identification. It does not start with the color of someone's skin or the slot you imagine they belong in. Documentation means writing what you see without spinning it. Reporting means calling when you know, not when you fear. He clicks a remote. On the wall, body camera footage frames his front steps. He does not replay Patricia's certainty to humiliate her. He pauses instead on his own hands, steady as he pointed to the permit, steady as he named the parcel number. "You can see patience," he says, "and you can also see the cost." Patricia shifts in her seat. "I said we needed education." "And we do," he says, not giving the room a villain to chew to bones. "But we also need a ritual that replaces snap judgment. Something we can do in the moment that saves relationships, reputations, and property values." He lifts the one-page checklist. I call it the porch light protocol. He explains the name, and it is as simple as pressing a switch. Turn the light on. See clearly. Invite safety without flooding the street with sirens. The metaphor curls around the room like a shared memory. A hand goes up. Do these steps actually work? He smiles, brief, almost a secret between them. They already do. They live in policies I helped write from Phoenix to San Antonio. They just have not lived here yet. The room holds its breath. Then the board chair leans toward the mic, the sound of a decision gathering. I move, she says, that we adopt the porch light protocol as our standard practice. Before the vote, Patricia speaks into her own mic, the sound small now. I will recuse myself from neighborhood watch leadership for the season, she says. I need to study, not supervise. The vote passes like rain on a roof. It patters, then becomes a steady, cleansing sound. The next morning, a local station runs the footage. The calm, the checklist, the porch light metaphor, and for once the edit does not chase spectacle. It dwells on the act of verification like it is a craft. Calls come from nearby neighborhoods asking for the one-page sheet. The article that follows is not about rage. It is about repair. At the bungalow, the porch becomes a studio of apologies. 3 residents arrive with paint rollers and a tray. A teenager from the gated enclave brings lemonade, her cheeks flushed as she says she is sorry for what she typed online. Jamal hands her a brush and says, "Start with the railing, gloss white." Her grin surprises them both. A council member's staffer stops by to ask for a copy of the protocol. A real estate agent messages Jamal to say that buyers ask first about feeling welcome, and this checklist helps answer the question. This is how a single aisle on a sidewalk swells into something wider. A training invitation from a county west of here. A mention in a podcast that usually covers home prices and ends up covering humanity instead. A group of middle schoolers who request a field trip to observe a neighborhood repainting a porch. Patricia comes alone on a Wednesday afternoon. No clipboard. No audience. She stands at the bottom step and asks if she can help with the second coat. He hands her a brush without speech, and for a while the only sound is the whisper of nylon bristles becoming smooth as they pull color across wood. What if I had looked at your permit first? She says quietly. You would have been bored, he says. She huffs out a small laugh, then the laugh breaks and reforms into something like a swallow of truth. I am sorry, she says, not a performance. A sentence placed down with care like a board at the base of a new stair. He nods. Thank you. The porch light globe gleams. They both notice at the same time. It gleams not because the paint is new, but because the afternoon sun has finally shifted, finding the angle where glass becomes invitation. Somewhere, the neighborhood app pins a new post, painting day this Saturday. All welcome. The Saturday painting becomes a small festival. A grill appears. A playlist wanders from old soul to new quiet. Children chalk the driveway with hopscotch boxes that turn into galaxies. Someone shows up with a tray of tamales. Someone else with a ladder. Every few minutes, a stranger introduces themselves to Jamal with a gentleness that did not exist a week ago. He says their names back and stores them the way one stores recipes, to be remembered when warmth is needed. He watches the older officer from that day step onto the porch to help screw in a new bulb. Bright, the officer says when it comes on, more to himself than anyone else. Jamal sets down his brush and just for a breath, lets himself feel the place as his mother would have. Not the clean lines of the trim or the safety of better policy, but the soft honesty of a space you can rest in. He understands how the symbol became a protocol and the protocol became a ritual, and the ritual became a habit that might outlive this moment. He thanks the crowd and reads the checklist one last time, not as a lecture but as a blessing. Verify so we do not lie to ourselves. Document so we tell the story true. Report so we protect without punishing belonging. The words float, land, and take root. When the music dips, he hears the block breathe. He hears laughter spill like water over a lip. He hears the once suspicious eyes soften into greetings. The humiliation that opened the week no longer lingers like smoke. It has been folded into the mortar of a new thing being built. Evening begins to lay its soft hand on the street. He reaches for the switch and turns on the porch light. The circle of brightness spills across the steps and into the faces gathered there, and for a moment the globe becomes a small moon with its own tide that gathers the neighborhood closer. He looks at the door, then at the people, then at the light again. The bulb hums. The street hums. His mother's house hums. This is how a porch becomes a promise, he thinks, and the thought shines out past the property line.